the captain, so he's really important. It's normal that there's a lot of clubs that want a player like Bruno, like Garnacho, like others, but we want to keep the best players, and Bruno is clearly one of the top players in the world. So our idea didn't change. We want Bruno here. I think you have to see the quotes in the moment, so things can change. And for me, in that moment, and if you look to Premier League, I think we are the worst. Since I arrived, we are the worst team in terms of the results in Premier League. That is my idea. In the end of this season, we can be the worst team in Premier League in history with a European title. So we will not change nothing.
We'll get back to Ruben Amorim in just a quick second. But remember, if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to click the notification button so that you know when the next Big D video hits. And as ever, if something is on your mind, if something is bubbling up inside of you that you need to express, please express it in the comments. The Big D reads all of the comments, and he's always interested in what is on your mind. Anyway, in this little clip, Ruben Amorim is going to be talking about how Man United are the worst Premier League team in history to win a European honour, which is actually quite funny, to be fair. He's also going to be talking about the future of talismanic captain Bruno Fernandes, and you're going to see a little clip from Sky Sports that outlines where this story has come from. Anyway, stick around for after the clips because the Big D is going to be giving his thoughts on all of this shenanigans before the big game against Atletico Bilbao tomorrow night, and the Big D will be in the Stretford End. Here they are.
We know that this season was really disappointed for everybody. Nothing is going to change. So in that moment, sometimes I have to think a little bit more, but I felt that, and I still feel that this season was the worst in the, I don't know in history, but for sure in the last, 50 years, I don't know, I have no idea. We will have to suffer a little bit to go to the final, and we are ready to suffer, and we need to be better in the small details in this game. You have to win it. As a manager, it's not like the same as a player. You want to play, you want to enjoy. When you are a manager, you have to win it, because if you lose in the final, it will hurt even more, especially in this kind of season. So we have to win it, but for that we need to focus on the semi-final.
With James Ducker's piece in the Telegraph on the front page of the Sports Supplement, Saudis offer Fernandes £1 million a week to leave United. Al Hilal, the club in question. Any legs in this story, David, do you think?
Well, there's been a long-term interest, Teddy, from the Saudi Pro League in Bruno Fernandes. I think there were proposals last summer before he signed a new contract at United that keeps him there until, I think, 2027, possibly with an option to extend by 12 months. Al Hilal were, if I remember correctly, in the market for Mo Salah. He obviously decided to sign a new deal at Liverpool, and so perhaps their attention has turned back to Bruno Fernandes, who's been incredible for Manchester United throughout his time at the club, and especially in difficult circumstances this season. His goals and assists are right up there with the best players, and they'd be lost without him, which is why, in their mind, he's not going anywhere. They won't want to entertain offers, let alone his departure. If they're going to be shifting players, and they will be this summer, quite spectacularly, I imagine, they won't want Fernandes to be one of them. They'll want to build around him. Even though he turns 31 this year, his productivity is still there. And the soundings we're getting from these reports are that Bruno Fernandes is not interested in the move as things stand. Now, we don't know if that will change with the sort of numbers that might be proposed, and they will become eye-watering, I'm sure, if they really want to go for Bruno Fernandes. But if he wants to stay and continue his career in Europe, and Manchester United genuinely have no intent in cashing in on him regardless of their financial situation, then I imagine it's a story that will end in him remaining at Old Trafford over the summer and into next season.
As David says there, Riyadh, especially when you consider he's been playing deep-lying midfield for some of this season in one of the worst Manchester United teams we can remember. 19 goals and 18 assists. Is he irreplaceable? And do you expect him maybe to have a little bit of leverage to want some assurances from Ruben Amorim about what the actual plan is?
I think he'd be entitled to seek those assurances, even if Al Hilal weren't putting crazy money on the table. Look, if I was to risk being a little bit facetious about it, he might fancy joining an upwardly mobile club. But look, we know what the Saudi League is. We know where they stand compared to Manchester United. So I'd be utterly amazed if he even considered this stage in his career when he's 30. But he'd have every right to ask United what their plans are, when is there going to be some coherence in this strategy they've got, when are they going to start bringing in players that are suitable for the Premier League, suitable for Manchester United, and equipped to get them moving forward again. I'd be amazed if he hadn't been having those conversations for the last couple of seasons, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, he has been their standout by a distance. I think we can all have a debate about his captaincy merits in terms of his temperament on the pitch, the way he sometimes behaves, but as a player, he's fantastic. And I think, we've already touched on the stats there: 19 goals, 18 assists in that team. I think you could make an argument in that context for player of the season.
It'd be amazing, wouldn't it, if that came about? We'll see what happens with Bruno.
I think it's easy to understand that, not just because of the numbers, but the way he plays, the importance that he has during his 5 years. I think here. He's a top player. We need the top players. He's a leader. He's the captain. So he's really important. It's normal that there's a lot of clubs that want a player like Bruno, like Garnacho, like others. But we want to keep the best players. And Bruno is clearly one of the top players in the world. So our idea didn't change. We want Bruno here.
Do you know, I find it absolutely hilarious that if Man United somehow managed to win the Europa League, despite being absolutely dog awful in the Premier League, it would be the funniest thing ever. Honestly, I mean, it would be a fantastic end to a weird season. And if we somehow managed to do that and we got in the Champions League, and because of that we were able to attract the players that we wanted to attract, and then next season we kicked on, it would be hilarious, especially since, all the scouters have come out of the woodwork of late saying, they're the biggest team in England and all of this crap. I'd find it absolutely hilarious because what people seem to forget as well, right? I think Stephen Housen mentioned this. Shout out to Stephen Housen. In the past 3 seasons, if Man United win the Europa League, I mean, this is the worst Man United team in a long time. But we've still won 3. We would still have won 3 trophies in 3 seasons. That's more than this so-called great Arsenal side that's currently getting pumped in the Champions League semi-final by PSG. The worst PSG side in a long time as well, for that matter. So, yeah, it would just be hilarious. And I mean, think back to 2013. So since 2013, Man United have won 2 FA Cups, 2 League Cups, 1 Europa League so far. We've finished second once, third twice, and fourth once as well. And that's in the past, 12 years or something like that? Yeah, past 12 years. That is an amazing era for most teams. So it just shows you that, everyone's talking about Man United being dog crap. But compared to Man United standards, yes. But compared to everyone else, I mean, they've been pretty decent. But anyway, go on to Bruno Fernandes. Yeah, as if he's going to Saudi Arabia. The only way I could see him going to Saudi Arabia is if they offered Ineos and Man United like a ridiculous transfer fee, like 150 million, something stupid. And then they might look at that and think, well, yeah, okay, we could let Bruno go, and that would pay for Cunha, João Neves, and Osimhen all at once. And although we'd be losing Bruno Fernandes, we'd still be strengthening the team, and we still have a lot of money left over. So I could see it from a very pragmatic business sense. However, it would absolutely demoralise Old Trafford if Bruno Fernandes was sold. He's been fantastic, and he obviously loves the club, and he fights for the club every single game, and he's carried that team to the Europa League semi-final, on the cusp of a final. And I tell you what, if Man United were able to win the Europa League and Bruno Fernandes was to be the main man to make the difference in the final for them to lift the trophy, and he lifted the trophy as captain, I think he would be an ironclad shout for a Ballon d'Or nomination easily, because he'd have carried that team single-handedly, and he would deserve it as well. He would deserve it more than Mo Salah. Never mind Mo Salah. But yeah, Bruno Fernandes. No, we just can't have him. We just can't have him leave, and that would mean what? We'd have lost David De Gea and Bruno Fernandes in the space of 3 seasons. It would be horrific if that happened. It would be horrific because David De Gea shouldn't have been sold or let go, and yeah, I'd be devastated. I can't even fathom them even thinking that, and the fact that he has no interest in anything like that. And he asked them at the beginning of last season, he said, look, you know, what's happening moving forward? He had the chance to move away. There was clubs sniffing around from him, but they said, we want you. You're a big part of this project. We want you to stay, Bruno. They give him a nice contract. He was happy with that, and he's been fantastic all season. So no, it's just a no. No, you don't sell your best players. You build around them. That's it. Selling Bruno Fernandes would be cutting off your nose to spite your face. But there you go. But I do know, believe it or not, some people that would sell him. And I've had words with this young man before. If you're watching, you know who I'm talking about. Brutus. Anyway, what do you guys think? Do you think Bruno Fernandes should be sold if we've got like a stupid offer? Or do you think we should keep him? Thoughts in the comments, and the Big D will see you in the next one.